What's up guys, and welcome to a comparison between two 90s Subaru Imprezas. We're currently sitting in a 1998 Subaru Impreza 2.5 RS, and we'll be comparing this against a 1993 Subaru Impreza sedan. Both of these cars are heavily modified. Full mod lists will be in the video description, but the owners Efrain and Steve have taken very different approaches to modifying these cars. This 2.5 RS was the first RS model here in the US. This is before we even got a WRX. So this is the GC8 chassis, and in stock form it didn't come with a turbocharged engine. It came with a little 165 horsepower naturally aspirated flat 4. Now obviously that wasn't going to work for Efrain. He did buy this car brand new back in '98, and he swapped in a 2-liter turbocharged EJ207 JDM STI engine from the Bugeye GD chassis. It revs to 8,000 RPM, makes 276 horsepower, 289 pound-feet of torque, and this engine is known for having a lot of headroom. You can tune it, you can make a lot more horsepower than stock, twin scroll turbos which reduce turbo lag, and this car has front and rear LSDs. The front is a helical type, rear is a clutch type, and we have the adjustable center differential. And with this C-diff scroll wheel, we can actually adjust how quickly the diffs lock up. This also has the Brembo 4-piston front brakes and 2-piston rears, a 6-speed manual swap, normally it would be a 5-speed, and a ton of supporting mods, including the steering wheel, these Recaros seats. Again, full list of mods in the video description. But this I would sum up as a classic Subaru build. There are a lot of GC8 owners who have done this type of build to make their GC8s look like the JDM STI. That car is totally different because it's front wheel drive, but the owner Steve swapped in a USDM WRX EJ205 engine. So we're gonna set the baseline with this 2.5 RS and then hop into Steve's car and see if you can still make a Subaru feel like a proper rally car with just front wheel drive and parts that he basically pulled from the junkyard. I love the aftermarket gauges. It's just tuner Subaru through and through. But let's see how it drives. I can safely say that's the first time I've ever revved a Subaru engine to 8,000 RPM. All of the Subaru engines we've gotten here in the States have basically topped out at around 7,000, or in the case of the BRZ and GR86, 7,500. Oh yeah, I really like the power band of this EJ207. It's much more rev happy. Easy to heel toe, good throttle response for a turbocharged engine, but there is turbo lag down low. Very short gearing, which I love. It keeps the engine in its power band. High revs with short gears, that's what you want. Blow-off valve noises. It feels wrong revving a Subaru engine so high. I'm still trying to get accustomed to the sound. Good brake feel. Oh yeah. This car is really fun to drive. Good suspension as well. Lots of body control with good bump absorption. Old-fashioned hydraulic steering, has good feedback. Although I will say there's a little bit of corruption to the steering because of the all-wheel drive system. A little bit of torque steer here. This car is good. The suspension is a little bit soft. I think it's a bit under-damped. Other than that, really good inputs, good steering, good shifter as well. The gates are very closely spaced. This is the quintessential 90s Subaru. GC8 chassis with a proper JDM STI swap. This is money. The way this car looks from outside is proper as well, with the gold wheels, the World Rally Blue paint. He bought this car brand new in '98, and he's kept it in such great condition. 102,000 miles and modified close to perfection. So much respect. Starting to rain a bit here, but no issues because we have that Subaru all-wheel drive system. Oh yeah. That second to third gear shift, so satisfying. The RPMs barely drop, just stays in its power band from around 5,000 to 8,000. This is a glorious thing. It really is. I've not always been a huge fan of Subarus in terms of their driving dynamics, but this one has just been modified to be so fun. But yeah, when you get on the power coming out of corners, you do feel a little bit of push just because those front tires are starting to pull you forward at the same time that the rears are pushing you. Trail braking there to get the nose to tuck in. I'm really getting into a groove with this 2.5 RS. It's been modified really well. There's good mid-range torque, but really you want to keep the engine above 5,000 when you can. So I think this 6-speed swap was the right move. Just a real pleasure to drive. Oh, hello, yellow AP2. This is nothing like the new VB WRX, which is a relatively numb, uninspiring machine. This thing, proper old school 90s Colin McRae rally car stuff. Let me bring this engine all the way out to show you guys what it really sounds like. EJ207. It's got to be my new favorite Subaru engine. There's still a lot of lag down low, but then when it builds power, it just keeps going and going. I'll be curious to see how the USDM WRX EJ205 feels in comparison with its relatively low 7,000 RPM redline. But safe to say, this is one of the best Subarus I've ever driven. And it's not punishing either. Yes, it's an old car. Yes, there's some squeaks and rattles, but it's actually quite refined. That's the surprising part. Oh man, what a pleasure. This sets the bar really high for that 93 front-wheel drive sedan. Does front-wheel drive ruin the Subaru formula that makes these cars so highly sought after? Let's find out. All right, we're now in the 1993 Subaru Impreza sedan. And unlike basically every Subaru that people think about nowadays, this is front-wheel drive. And the interesting thing about the way the owner Steve has modified this is that he's done so much to the chassis, the engine, the interior, the exterior, and yet he chose to keep it front-wheel drive, which makes this quite a unique build. This car originally came with a little 1.8 liter EJ18 engine, naturally aspirated. It made 110 horsepower and 110 pound-feet of torque. Steve swapped in an EJ205 2-liter flat Ford from a WRX. So this makes 265 horsepower, 285 pound-feet of torque with a 7,200 RPM redline. By the way, the blue car we just drove, I found out after I drove it, it's making a little over 300 at the wheels, which makes sense. Perfectly balanced power to weight ratio for that car. We'll see if this car can put nearly 300 horsepower down to the ground through just 2 tires. It does have a helical LSD instead of the open diff that it came with, and Steve swapped out the stock 16.5-to-1 steering rack for a 2015 STi rack, which is a 13-to-1, much quicker. This car weighs around 2,400 pounds. The mod list is insane. I'm not going to go through it, but some of the main things here, it has a 2002 WRX 5-speed transmission. For suspension, we have Fortune Auto 500 coilovers with camber plates front and rear, control arm bushings, sway bars, etc. And we're running some 15x8-inch Rota slipstreams with some 245 section width Falcon RT 660s, a very grippy Trek compound. The interior is all done up as well. We've got 98 Legacy GT seats, and I really like what he's done with it. This Momo steering wheel fits the car just perfect. We've got the Cobb access port mounted here, but overall this is a more budget build compared to that 98 car. By the way, that 98 blue car had KW V3 suspension, which explained why it felt kind of soft. This has manually adjustable everything, roll-up windows, manually adjustable side mirrors, but it is a louder car from inside, and this engine has a more classic Subi rumble, but front-wheel drive, almost 300 horsepower. Let's see what happens when we put our foot down. Oh, holy torque steer. Oh my goodness. This car feels so lightweight. 2,400 pounds. That's barely heavier than an ND3 Miata. Oh my goodness, the torque steer. That is intense. You have to hold on for dear life when you put your foot down in this car. And this engine doesn't want to rev out nearly as eagerly. Oh God. It's a quick car, no doubt. The power to weight ratio here is probably even better than the blue cars. But this front wheel drive setup is really showing its limitations. Obviously there are benefits to this. No all-wheel drive means a much lighter weight car, and you can feel that on turn-in. Part of it's because of the weight, but also part of it is this 2015 STi quick ratio steering rack. Yeah, the power band dies off near the red line. Right around 6,000 is where you feel it start to taper off. I like the shifter feel, but the gearing is definitely longer here, being a 5-speed. Like right here, I'm in 3rd gear, and I'm just out of the power band. This car does have a lot of steering feel though. I think the hydraulic rack plus the fact that this car is so light means it's very analog. It's very talkative. And this suspension, the Fortune Auto 500 coilovers, feels a lot firmer than the KW V3s. The damping, probably not quite as good. It's a little less daily drivable, but still does a reasonable job. Oh, every time you go over a bump while you're heavy on that throttle, this car just wants to steer you off the road. Yeah, this engine has a lot of power between around 4,000 and 6,000, but that only gives you about 2,000 RPMs to work with, whereas the EJ207 gives you about 3,000 RPMs to work with. This car also doesn't have ABS, so we gotta be careful braking for corners. The AC blows nice and cold though. It's a quick car though, and it's very, very fun to drive in a sort of unconventional way. It's not what you'd expect from a Subaru. When you look at this car, you expect all-wheel drive traction, getting on the power nice and early on corner exit. But that's not the case. You got to drive this thing basically like a turbocharged Honda Civic. An old turbocharged Honda Civic, mind you, not a new Type R. This is a totally different experience than what I'm used to with Subarus, but overall it's still very well balanced. There's no major weaknesses here. The brakes, the power level, the steering response, the suspension, everything is dialed in very, very well. So hats off to Steve for building this thing in his garage with some junkyard parts and still making it feel this good. The front wheel drive is a limiting factor, but that also adds to the charm of this car. Objectively speaking, Efrain's car is better in almost every way, except for maybe two areas. Number one, the steering feel in this is actually better, and I suspect it's because of all the aftermarket bushings, the control arms, and the lighter weight, just giving you a more connected feeling to that front end. And I think the suspension in this car on a smooth surface would feel better. Second gear. Oh my goodness. You really gotta be careful and ease into it. Otherwise, it's just wheel spin and torque steer. Wow, what an interesting comparison. A quintessential all-wheel drive turbocharged GC8 versus a front-wheel drive GC sedan. I actually think you can't go wrong with either of these two options. They're very different and very similar at the same time, and they're enjoyable in their own unique ways. If it were me, I think I'd go for the more traditional route just because it's more confidence inspiring, but I do think this car makes me laugh more, and there's definitely value to that. So let me know what you think about this comparison. What is the ideal way to build a GC chassis? Do you go front wheel drive for the thrills, or do you go all wheel drive for the confidence? A big shout out to Efrain and Steve. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments, and I'll see you guys in the next video.